Hello, my name's Sarah and I'm a qualified control practitioner and also a control workshop presenter. The control system is remedial hypnosis, or if you prefer, mind coaching. Unlike traditional hypnosis, you don't go to sleep, you're awake and you fully participate in the process. It's more like a talking therapy, except the conversation is with your subconscious mind rather than your conscious mind. So, why do we talk with the subconscious? Well, firstly, it's important to know the difference between the conscious and subconscious parts of your mind. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a ship with a captain and a crew. The captain is your logical, conscious, rational mind. The captain decides where we're sailing to and why we're sailing there. In other words, the things that we want or need to do both in the short and long term. The captain can consider complex issues and can solve problems, but can only concentrate on one thing at any given moment in time. The crew, on the other hand, is our subconscious mind. They steer the ship and carry out all the day-to-day tasks we're not consciously aware of. For example, when you get into your car, you don't think, I'm going to put the key into the ignition, I'm going to turn the key. No, you just get on and do the driving. The subconscious are also in charge of our emotions, our creativity, our imagination, and our core beliefs, which is the way we view the world and our place in it. Up to the age of about 9 or 10 years old, there was no captain on board the ship because children don't have the capacity to consider if what they're being told is true or to think about alternative points of view. For example, if you say to a 5-year-old that there's a man in a red suit who flies around the world and delivers presents to every child in the world all in one night, they'll go, yeah, I can believe that. So for the first few years of our lives, our crew lived in the moment to keep the ship simply safe and afloat. At the same time, they absorbed lots of information, ideas and opinions about who we are and how we fit in the world. We actually learn at a faster rate in the first decade than we do at any other time in our lives. So if somebody's early years were mainly positive, with lots of stability and good experiences, their core beliefs will be far different from someone who grew up in an environment that was neglectful, either physical or emotionally, chaotic or even abusive. A child in that situation will often think that they are bad in some way, or the things that happened were because of them. When we grow up and we try to do things that the crew has decided in an earlier time that are not a good idea, we can hit the rocks. It could be something as simple as trying to accept that spiders really aren't dangerous, or it could be life-changing, such as standing up to a bully or giving a confident presentation to 100 colleagues. I mentioned earlier that the subconscious is also where our emotions come from. We can't consciously decide to be angry or happy, sad or anxious. These feelings arise as a result of how we react to whatever's going on and also our previous experiences. Take anxiety, for example. It's the emotion that tells us something is just too important to ignore. It's why we study for an exam, why we dress up for a first date, or even why we check that we've got our keys in our pocket before we slam the front door shut. So, anxiety is important. If we had no anxiety, we wouldn't consider anything worthy of our attention. But feeling anxious can be absolutely horrible, and being over-anxious for a long period of time is considered to be a medical disorder. So, why does our crew ramp up the anxiety when you least want it? In spite of how it might appear, the members of your crew are only looking to do one thing, that is to find the best strategy for the most happiness. So, let's examine a very common situation, a fear of public speaking. For most of us, the first time we had to stand up and speak to a group of people was at school. For school children, being part of a social group is probably the most important thing in their lives. So, if they're laughed at by their friends for messing up their presentation, or if it didn't go to plan for whatever reason, then it can be pretty traumatic. The subconscious mind will file away that as something that didn't make us happy and therefore must be avoided at all costs in the future. When we're an adult and we're called upon to make a presentation at work or in college, that part of our mind will do whatever's necessary to stop us, simply because it wants to keep us safe and happy. So it might even create a physical reaction from trembling and sweating to an upset stomach, or even get rid of our voice and leave us completely unable to speak. When we were young, happiness meant staying safe and comfortable in the moment. And as a result, many of the ideas that the crew adopted back then don't make sense now to an adult who has different priorities. This is why the captain needs to communicate with the members of the crew who are doing things that are now unhelpful or inaccurate and which are impacting on our present lives. When they understand what we want, the crew will be willing to change what they're doing because they don't want to sink the ship. They just want to do what they believe to be right. When we can communicate directly with the subconscious, which is where I come in, we can change the thoughts and feelings and behaviours that are troubling you quickly, easily, and permanently. It's about bettering ourselves, if you like, upgrading the system. It doesn't mean that you're broken or that there's something terribly wrong with you. So imagine for a moment that I'm a fairy godmother with a magic wand, and in the next 10 seconds I can change something about you. You get to decide what this change will be. Most of us won't have a problem deciding on what we want to change. We may well have a list of things that we would like to improve about ourselves, so choosing just one thing might be more difficult. Rather than going through your life avoiding or sidestepping the situations that challenge and scare you, the control system enables you to regularly upgrade your thinking so you can get where you ideally want to be as you go through life. If you'd like to talk to me about changing the way you think or feel or behave, please drop me a line at sarah@outofchaostherapy.com or visit my website, which is outofchaostherapy.com. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.